morning, my name is Wiley, and today we're going to take a look at Sonic Pi. Sonic Pi is a music creation tool that you can use code to create some really wonderful and complex sounds. So today we're going to do some very basic things just to get you introduced to the program. I'm going to assume at this point you've actually downloaded the program and it will run on a Windows or Mac computer or Linux computer. On a Windows, you can even have a runtime one that does not require an installation, which is really good for those who might not be able to install programs on your computer. Today I'm using the one that was installed, but it's exactly the same. So let's take a look around our screen. Up on the upper left area here, we can see that this is where we're going to write our code. Over here we'll see on the right, we will see what has been active in our code as it runs by. There's our controls to stop and start and even record our sounds. So if we choose to record, it'll actually record it as a WAV file. We can use it in our programs you might want to use later. For example, in this video that we have right now, there is a Sonic Pi recorded sound running in the background. Sonic Pi uses a number of different ways to generate sounds, and we're going to look at some of them today. So let's take a look at the first one, which is basically treating the sounds you create as corresponding with the keys on a keyboard. Typically on a full-size piano, for example, there are 88 keys. So we can make a sound, and we're going to actually put in our first line of code. We're just going to say play, and we're going to play 70. And we're going to test this out. We're going to hit run. And what you can see from that is that a note played, and it actually corresponds to the 70th key on the keyboard. If you were counting from left to right, it was. So if we wanted to make a lower note, for example, we would make it a lower one. And let's try that one. So we can see how this works. This particular one, you notice that the sound fades out. It's kind of emulating a little bit of what a keyboard would do, or a synthesizer keyboard might do as well. So we now have one way we can pick a note if you like to play. We can also do it by naming the notes. So to correspond with keys on a keyboard again. This time we're going to put a colon and the note. And the number after this would correspond to which C note. For example, that would be the third C that you could reach on a keyboard. So let's try that. So that's our note. And if we'd like to go a little further, let's just play something really simple here. We're going to put in D3, which is in the same octave if you want to look at it that way. And we're going to play E. So we're keeping this really simple today. And we're going to also on the third one. And let's play that. Do you notice that it plays all at once? So it doesn't even sound very good at all. When we play those notes, we don't necessarily get what we expected. It's not playing C note, D note, and E note at different times. It's actually playing them all at once. We can use that to our advantage, but it wasn't exactly what we were looking for here. So we need some way to separate one note from the other. So let's put some sleep time in between each one. So let's play, and we will sleep it for 0.5. We're going to sleep this one. 0.5 as well, in between the notes. Let's have a look and see if this one's going to work. So that gave us a result that was much nicer. The play function in Sonic Pi can have options as well. Now I'm going to just go back to one note here for a little bit. And I'm going to go back up on this line. And we can have options. For example, I could put in amp. And I'm going to amplify that 2. And let's just see what that sounds like. You'll notice that it made the sound significantly louder. Let's just try it once more with amp level 3. And again, you probably can tell in the video that it did make it significantly louder. And let's go 0.5, which is F. Let's just try that. So for amplification, the value of 1 is the same as the source. So if I want it louder, I might go, let's not go that much, 1.5, and that might give me a little boost of about 50%, if you want to think about it that way. We are now going to go to another line here, and I'm going to just copy and paste them in here to make life a little simpler. And I'm going to put in the same sleep value I had before. Sleep of 0.5. And I'll put sleep in between those two as well. So after that note plays, 0.5. And of course I want to change the note because we were using, let's do that one right, D3, and we're going to put in E3 down here. So let's test it out first. We're going to look at some other features. And let's run it. All right. We could probably put a little longer sleep in here so we don't have one piece of note running all over the other one. Let's just try that. So basically, as the first note fades out, it takes about a second. And that's where we've got this 1 second delay. All right. Let's take a look a little further at another option we can have, and you can have multiple options on your play line. This is a fun one to do, especially if you have headphones on. It's really noticeable. We can pan left to right, and it's a really fun one to do. So let's pan this one. If we want to go to the left, we'll use -1, and we'll put a pan on the next one. If we want to go to the right, in the middle, I'm sorry, we'll have pan 0, which puts it back to the middle. And I want this one pan 1. So basically this allows us to move the music left to right, which is a really fun effect. So let's go ahead and run this one. You'll notice that it didn't work properly. And the reason is that I did not put in my colon. And you'll notice that the colors come back properly here now. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Along with the basic play sounds that you have in Sonic Pi, there's some synthesizer sounds that are really fun to work with. And we're going to try some of those out right now. So I'm going to delete all of my lines and start over. And I'm going to use a synthesizer. And I'm going to use this one. And I am going to use my colon again. I'm going to use what's called a saw synth. And you'll get to hear that one in a minute. What am I going to do with that? Well, I'm going to play 38, which will respond to the key again. I'm going to sleep for a quarter of a second. I'm going to play 50, which is again on your keyboard. And we're going to sleep another quarter of a second. And we're going to play this note. And let's see what it sounds like. That's fun. So we can see that we could use a synthesizer sound to make it a little bit more interesting music. Well, let's try a different synth. There is another one. There are a few of them here, but we're going to look at Prophet. And let's try that one. And we're going to try it. And there's another one we can try. Let's try the, I think it's bells. Let's try blade. So there are tons of different ones you can use to play around with and to develop the sounds that you would like. There are lots of other things you can do with your sounds to make them interesting. I'm going to just go back to the one note for a minute, and we're going to look at this one to just play it once. So there's my basic sound. I can also make the release of the sound, which basically says how long that sound will run, by using the release feature. So I'm going to use release, and I can just pick it from here, which is really cool. And I'm going to release it for 4 seconds. So let's see how this sounds. So that means that it takes 4 seconds for that sound to fade. And we could have lots of fun with that because we can play other sounds at the same time. We could, while that one is playing, we could just say delay it 2. Let's delay it, 2. So we're going to go sleep 2, and we're going to play note 39. We're going to release it again. We use the same release time. We're going to release it for 4. And we're going to go ahead and sleep again. This gives us some time between each note. We're going to sleep at 2. And we're going to play note 40 on our keyboard again. And we're going to release that one the same amount. See what kind of creation we've come up with. Neat thing about this program is just fun trying things out. And let's see what it sounds like. Well, not musically too pleasing, but you can tell that the sound, the note 30 with the blade synthesizer sound, ran out for 4 seconds. Before it faded out, this one started only halfway, and so on. So if we were to hear it again, you can hear the second note start before the first one fades out. The result of combining them can produce some really interesting things. Let's look at one other option we can do with our sounds. Besides the release, which is how long a sound will fade out, we can also program its attack. An attack is how fast the sound starts, how it builds up before it releases. So I'm going to put in an attack of 2 on this one, and we'll just put the attack in first because it's nice to do it in the order that you would. So we're going to go ahead and attack, and we're going to, let's do 2. Notice I had to separate that one, and I'm going to take the same code and put it on the other ones as well. I'm just going to copy on this one. And better fix that a little bit. Let's go ahead and fix that one. Go ahead and let's try it out. All right, let's see if it's going to work. You can tell that there's a whole lot going on here, and this sound, for example, takes 2 seconds to build up to its full. It takes 4 seconds to release, then 2 seconds in, the next one starts, so it starts creating really complex sounds. And there are a whole lot of things you can do with that. You combine them in all kinds of ways to produce some really interesting sounds. So let's move on to another topic, and we're going to talk about some samples that are actually already built into the program, and those are really fun to work with. So we're going to erase all of this we've got here again, and we're going to start with a new one. And I'm going to actually do a sample. And there are samples, as I said, built into the program, which are really fun to work with. And let's pick the Lunar Land one, which is a really cool one to do it. And let's just try it by itself first. It's cool. I didn't have to build that sound myself. I could use it. All right, let's combine it with some of the other things that we've learned. So let's do sleep. Sleep for a second. We're going to play note 48. We're going to sleep again. 0.5. And we're going to play note 36. We're going down in sound. Should be good. And we're going to move to another sample, just because we can. And we're going to pick the drone one. Let's pick the drone one. And we're going to sleep again. Again, if you don't use the sleep function, remember they'll all play at the same time because there's no, that one note does not wait for the other one to finish. You have to tell it that you want to do that. And we're going to play note 36 again. So I have no idea what this is going to sound like. Let's try it. Cool. Let's take a look at another option we can use with our sounds. And I'm going to go back to the one again. And we're going to, let's get those back here. I'm going to go back up on that line. And let's hear it by itself first. All right. What would be fun to do maybe is change its rate. So we're going to add another option to this one. We're going to go rate. Let's go 0.5 and see what it sounds like, which is half the rate. My thinking it should be slowed down. Let's see. What would happen? And if we made it the rate 1.5, remember 1 is whatever the source is, so let's make it faster. We're probably up into chipmunk territory now. Let's find out. And here's a really cool one. If I do minus, what I basically could do is make it backwards. Very interesting ways to build sounds. In Sonic Pi, we can also use sounds that you may already have on your computer. And I'm just going to do a quick example here. This will be different for you depending on the operating system you're using with Sonic Pi. There is a bunch of samples that get installed with this program you can play with. I took one and put it at the root of my C drive. And we're going to play it just to see how it will work. And it works very nicely. You can play other formats like WAV and MP3s as well. But just like other sounds you've created, whether you just use the play or the synthesizers, you can also actually change how it is played. For example, let's slow it down. Let's slow it down half and see what it sounds like. This is going to be quite interesting. Really different. And again, like the others, if I do it -1, I should get it backwards. Hard to tell that it is backwards, but it is. So we can, again, use a variety of sounds that might already exist, and you can stretch them, change the time in them, change the attack, change the release, and so on. Let's take a look at one last feature today in Sonic Pi, and that is loops. Sometimes you might like to do something repetitively, but you don't want to type the code many times. You can have it loop. there's a function in Sonic Pi called do, but it does it in a kind of a neat way. Let's have a look at this short example I have here. On line 1, I'm basically telling Sonic Pi 3 times do something. That could be 2 times, could be 1 time, 10 times. What am I doing? I'm going to play note 50, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to play a sample that's built into the program, I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to play note 62. All of those here, that is going to occur 3 times. So let's try it. You can see that it's a great way to start building beats. Now let's play it once more. Let's bring together a few of the things we learned all in one little example. And this example you can find in your tutorials for this particular program that's included with it. And we have, basically we have a 10 loop here. So we do something 10 times. We're going to do whatever's inside of that 10 times. Inside of those, we have 2 other shorter loops. One is here and the other is here. So we have this one is going to do 2 times, that one is going to do 4 times, and all of that is going to do it 10 times. Sounds complicated, but it really isn't. When we run it, we get a real interesting pattern. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. There's lots of things you can do with that. The nice thing about this one is you can take some of the examples that are already there, play with them, change the values, change the sounds, and you can have lots of fun creating your own music. Have a great day.